I think it goes that, without a doubt, the best game that was ever in the 3DS was Face Raiders. Oh, wow. What a great way to spend your afternoon, and Nintendo knew what an awesome game it was, because it was the only game that was pre-installed in your console. It was that good. While it was in contention for the best game of the year, all jokes aside, it was a very cool mechanic for the year 2011. Bear in mind, this was way before VR headsets were a thing. The ability to be able to turn 360 degrees and see multiple elements from the game was very impressive. The camera's quality is good for 2011, but it was a good tech demo to show you what the Nintendo 3DS was capable of, and there were a couple of games here and there that used this mechanic in the 3DS. So, in 2012, the Pokemon Company released Pokemon Dream Radar, a spin-off minigame for Pokemon in which, using the same motion camera gyroscope mechanic used in Face Raiders, you use the Nintendo 3DS's camera to move around and shoot around to find dream clouds to catch items and Pokemon. Any rewards you find in the game, you're able to transfer them to Pokemon Black and White too. If you really think about it, Face Raiders are somewhat responsible for the creation of Pokemon Go. That's crazy. Which some of you may be asking, but Pokemon Black and White 2 is a DS game! This is a 3DS game! Why didn't they use it for Pokemon X and Y? It's because Pokemon knows this is peak Pokemon. No, really, it's because of release dates. Pokemon Black and White 2 came out on late 2012, while the Nintendo 3DS was released on 2011. Of course, in every continent there was a different date, but there's a big gap between those two. And Pokemon X and Y came out late 2013, so then the gap would have been even bigger. Essentially, it was just a case of releases, and what a way to promote the console and the game than by doing this. It also kind of shows you that DS games do work on the 3DS. The way it would transfer all your stuff was pretty simple. You need your copy of Black and White 2 inserted in the console, and then in the other game, in Pokemon Dream Radar, you would just go to the transfer section and press a couple of buttons, and bada bing bada boom, all of it was transferred. It was very easy. So with that said, obviously this game was an extension of Black and White 2. But even if you didn't have set games, you could still have fun with it. It had its own little story, goals, characters, and lore. This professor right here is the whole reason we didn't see Professor Kui completely shirtless. She is a key piece to the Pokemon lore. The story for this game was, essentially, Professor Burnett is studying the Inter Dream Zone and asks you to help her to collect dream orbs in order for her to continue her research. And there were two types of clouds. The pink ones that would give you orbs, and the gray ones, which are the exciting ones, because you enter the mini-game of smashing your button multiple times and move all over your room in order to catch whatever item or Pokemon it is. The catch of the game was, you could only play it whenever there were clouds among you. So close! It would take 5 minutes for each cloud to appear, and realistically, you would only play when there's many of them, so that the reward is bigger and there's a higher chance of finding a Pokemon or an item, since gray clouds are more rare than the pink ones. You could also use play coins to avoid having to wait more than an hour for all the clouds to show up. I miss you, play coins. You did everything that the Wii Fit didn't do for me. In my case, once I ran out of clouds, I would just go and play Pokemon Black 2. And when I stopped playing Pokemon Black 2, I would just go back to Dream Radar and check to see if there were any clouds, and if there were any clouds, I would just play a few rounds, and then rinse and repeat. The main goal of the game was to catch the legendary, formerly trio, the forces of nature, in their Therian form. A little spoiler for the timeline in the video, but for those who like weird challenges and stuff like that, this was also a way you could start Pokemon Black and White 2 with a very underleveled legendary from the get-go. So yes, you could have one of the forces of nature at the very low level of level 5. The game would progress the more Dream Orbs you collected. That way the professor could make cooler gear, which would let you catch the legendary Pokemon. Every time you catch one, you would get access to catch more things. For example, at the beginning, you would only be able to catch Pokemon that were pretty normal for Unova in Black and White 2. Like Munna, or Sigilif, or Drifloon, or Riolu, or Swablu. Oh my god, this game loved giving me Swablus. I swear I had like 20 of them in my PC once. But as you caught the legendaries one by one, you'd get access to rarer Pokemon you don't normally find in Unova. Like Igglybuff, Shuckle, Staryu, Togepi! You know why I have this game. It was to be able to start with my beautiful and perfect Togepi. Dream Radar was able to let me fulfill a dream I always wanted to do, and that is to have Togepi as my starter. I think I tried this multiple times, but what I would do would be essentially focus on the Dream Radar so I have access to unlock Togepi, so I then transfer it to my game of Pokemon Black 2. Then I box my starter and start with my level 5 Togepi. I mean, it wasn't too successful, like none of them were, since Togepi's moveset kind of sucks at the beginning. But, you know, let's say I did alright. Ooh, I did alright, yay! I can't remember, it's been a while since I've done a run of Pokemon Black 2. And I know I say in every video it's been a hot minute since I've played Pokemon, but I promise I do play it, I promise. There were 3 Pokemon though that were very interesting to catch. You needed to do specific button combinations to unlock its specific extension. And if you did it correctly, you could get an extension, which is like the cool gears that the professor would give you, to be able to catch either a Hoot Hoot, a Slowpoke, or a Beldum. The level of your Pokemon depended on what stage of the game you were, ergo how many badges you had. So if you had no badges, you would get a Pokemon that was level 5. And if you had, like, let's say 7 badges, you could get a Pokemon that's level 40. Funny enough, I discovered this fact like years later after I got my copy of Black 2. I got Dream Radar around the same time as Black 2, and doing my first run of both, I remember I got to the point in Pokemon Dream Radar to catch Tornadus, and I was so happy. I was like, ooh, I am so ready to thrash Cheren, only to be met with the wonderful surprise that when I opened my PC, it was level 5. I originally thought that it was just the level it came in. I was like, shoot, you're weak. Back to the PC. I guess I never caught on, because when I caught Thundurus later down the road, I got it at a higher level. And even though I was further in the game, never once did it hit me that maybe my progress in the game affected what level the Pokemon I get from there. The other cool thing about catching Pokemon here is that if they had, the Pokemon you catch would get their hidden ability. That's right, you could get a Togepi with Super Luck, or a Sigilyph with Tinted Lens. You could also get rare and expensive items as well, like Evolutionary Stones, rare candies, max revives. It was a great way to stack your bag. Little bit of a side tangent here, but it's important for the topic. But I explained how I have a pet peeve of wanting to keep all my Pokemon in regular Pokeballs, which this game kind of messes with, but it's one of the few exceptions that where like I actually like it. Because every Pokemon you transfer from the Dream Radar would come in a Dream Ball, and the Dream Ball is so pretty! Like, look at it! It's so pretty! Once I went to a ceramic painting outing with my friends, and they had Pokeballs so we were able to paint them, and I really wanted to paint the Dream Ball, but it was way too complicated, so I did the Dive Ball, as if that was going to be easier. But yeah, the Dream Balls are so pretty! But, the coolest feature in the game by far was the ability to catch the box art Pokemon from previous DS games. Yes, you would be able to catch Lugia and transfer it to your Black and White 2 game. Obviously, you needed to catch the forces of nature first, but once that was done, you could go and catch them. As long as the game was inserted in your console while playing Dream Radar, you could catch as many legendaries as you wanted, giving it that you had the cartridges for the box art legendaries, and with the limitations that you could only catch each legendary once. There were so many cool things about this game. I had buckets of fun. I mean, I am eternally grateful for this game. I was able to get a Togepi in Unova, and that's a blessing on its own. And it was just fun. I still have it on my Nintendo 3DS, and every time or so I will go and check it out. I definitely encourage you that if you don't have it, get it. Oh yeah, about that. Since March 27, 2023, the Nintendo 3DS eShop shut down, which meant that no games can be downloaded anymore, including Pokemon Dream Radar. Which is a real shame, since it made Pokemon Black and White 2 a very big game when it came to content. I know I praised Black and White for mostly sticking to Gen 5 Pokemon, but the sequel having so many more Pokemon truly makes this game come alive. And Pokemon Dream Radar only expanded that, and even if it was only a couple of rare but regular Pokemon, it did give you access to so many legendaries, and expanded the lore of Unova being known for the study of dreams in the Pokemon world. There were so many services for Pokemon Black and White 2, the Pokemon Pokédexes apps in the 3DS, the defunct Dream World, but I think it's safe to say that Pokemon Dream Radar was the best extension for that set of games. Don't fret if you were not able to download the game when you get a brand new 3DS or a used one. Be happy that when you open your console, maybe someone played the game there. And be happy that you have Face Raiders in your 3DS. As I'm filming this video, we reached 100 subscribers. Yay! Woo! Thank you all so much for supporting my channel. It sounds a little weird, but it does kind of motivate me to keep going. To say thanks, I have something big planned, but it's going to take some time to plan out. So, I'll keep pumping out videos at least once a week, but as I do it, I will be planning the big surprise. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta!